Hello everyone, let's today look into the MongoDB with Node.js. So in this video we will see how to connect to the Mongo database from Node.js and how to create a record, how to insert a record in the database, and then we'll fetch those records using the query, and that will be through the API. So let's jump into the code base, and to start with that one, let's create the package first. So basically the package.json, and then we're going to install the MongoDB, and Express will be using as a server. We'll need to create two API endpoint, so let's do that one. To start with this one, we'll create one file, our entry point, say app.js, and we'll start writing the code in this file only. But going forward, we will obviously distribute these files and we'll create good folder structure for that one. But for now, start with this one, import Express and create the app. Basically the basic features, the steps we'll follow here. Let's run the file and see if there is anything wrong. So this is working. Now let's start the Mongo daemon. Basically before that one, you need to install the MongoDB in your system, and then we need to start the Mongo daemon. So run the command mongo. Next step would be to connect to Mongo database. For that one, we'll create a constant with the connection URL, and we'll need mongoose to connect with that one, so we'll require that one mongoose. Then we'll write mongoose.connect. It will return a promise, and obviously we'll add cache block for the error. So far we have connected to the database, and here our server is also running and connected to the database. Now to start with this one, we will going to have one user schema file. So basically user table, so user schema will be creating. So let's create one model folder, and inside that we're going to create the user file, user.js file. Now here we need to use the mongoose, so import that one and then create the schema. So basically the fields like name, username, password, email, and the type of this field, basically it will be string, and these are required. And now create the model and export this one. Now in our app.js we need to import that file, because we're going to use this user schema from here. So first I'm going to create one API endpoint, say it will be post, to create the user, so post endpoint, and then we're going to receive the payload data that will be passed from UI. Hence we will use the body parser, so create the middleware here. So hopefully using this one we'll get the request body, and here when you want to create, just create a constant new user with the user schema, and then define the variables name, password, whatever we have defined there. So instead of writing each one individually, I will use this spread from the request.body, and that will spread the data from the payload. And then to create that one, we'll need to run the function that new user.save. This will create the record and it will return the promise. So in the promise we can just return the response. So we'll see the response, the object will be passed, and same goes for the error block. So in this case also, let's send the response for this one also. And see, we don't have any database currently as that name testdb, and this will be automatically created when we run the command. So let's try. So I'm getting some error here, so hopefully you have not exported that thing. Okay, there is a typo, it will be exports, sorry for that. Now let's try again. Okay, okay, and this is the result. We are getting the user object basically, so you can say our code is working perfectly. Let's refresh and see. This is the testdb, the collection, and this is the document, the row for the user one we have created. So these are the details we are sending from the UI, from the postman as of now. And let's try to create another user, change the name, email, and password, keep it same, and let's send this one and see, there should be two created. If we refresh this one, yeah, we can see there is two records present in our database. Now let's try to get those data. We have created those user. Now let's create another endpoint to get the user. So it will be get endpoint and say slash user, and then request and response as usual. Now to get the details, we will write user dot find. Remember, we're using the user model dot find. Then it will return a promise. So inside then we will get all the objects that's coming from the query. So let's send the complete object, and in case of error, send the response. Now let's try to run this one from the postman. See, we are getting two records from the database, two objects for the two users that we have just created. So our get query is also working perfectly. So this is the find uh, find query, and we already have created the save query. So this is how we can create the data in MongoDB, and this is how we can fetch the data in MongoDB. We can also filter out this data using this query inside this find. We can pass our queries, and